I see you got the Kenny Pickett jersey back on.
Yeah, we ended the same way as last year, so I figured he's still on our team.
Oh my God, we did it!
I don't want to hear it from a guy who's half his fan base is Swifties. Broncos country, let's cry.
Back to the Super Bowl.
Why'd they put the trash cans next to the Cowboys helmet?
You could take it and shove it up your...
Peace!
What I really need to be hearing from you, though, is thank you.
Good afternoon, football fans, and welcome to the wild card round recap of the Trajan Sportcast. I am your host, professional wrestler and Kansas City Chiefs fanatic Christian Temple, joined alongside, as always, by my good friend, the freshly eliminated Pittsburgh Steelers. Not terrible towel twirling, terrible towel throwing in. They threw in the towel just like the Steelers did in the first half. Trajan. I would ask you how you're doing this fine day. Apparently, you are a little better than you were a few days ago, but you've completely cleansed yourself of football ever since that day, haven't you?
Pretty much. It's I'm grieving.
Mm.
I'm going through the steps,
Mm-hmm.
and right now I'm just at anger towards you. No. Just grieving, disbelief, numb, feel
Good.
the same.
Well, in my experience, Trajan, when you're going through those range of emotions and everything too, I mean, it's good to talk about it, with someone you trust. It's good to talk about, what's been bothering you, what's been, going on in your life, what's been happening that's got you in this mood too. So I guess that makes it much. There's no better time than now to move on to at least Trajan's final. I don't want to talk about it of the year. So Trajan, you've been building it up. The emotions have been rattling inside of you too. Let's just get it all out of your system. Let's talk about it. Maybe that'll make you feel just a little bit better. Get that catharsis out of there.
So this is the only bright spot about the loss. I get to do my last. I don't want to talk about it for the season. Where do I start? Oh yes, the first half where the Pittsburgh Steelers did not start.
Mm-mm.
It was just pathetic. I get Baltimore going down there and scoring on us the first deal. They have a good offense. This needed to be a shootout. Our offense needed to show up because their offense is clicking right now. And they did not. Our defense could not stop the run. They keyed in on the wrong guy, it seemed like every single time. Um, Apparently, Pat Fryermuth can't make first downs. I You heard me yell at this multiple times.
Yes, full disclosure, everyone. There, I was at the good residence to witness this game. So I was there to witness the full. Well, I guess I wouldn't say the full array of emotions. You did keep yourself pretty well contained. I do have to give you props for that because there were times where even I would be like, okay, something's getting flipped over, whether it's this couch, this table, or or maybe a family relative or something. Something's getting flipped over.
See, I would have gotten a lecture from my wife for doing it in front of the kids, so
Mm,
that's mostly why.
fair.
Um, if the kids weren't there, your wife would have a whole new view of me. You would probably expect it,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, it was a sad day. I was hoping for an upset, at least make it close. Instead, we got destroyed the first half, 21-0. This marks, I believe last year they scored 21 points before we even scored anything.
Can't
Um,
remember, but that might be true.
we've been blown out. I can't remember even the stats. I don't even want to remember the stats. Stats pain me.
Hmm.
But we've been blown out every single playoff game for the last 6 years. blown out. This is just pathetic. And changes have to be made. Tomlin,
Hmm? Hmm?
not willing to say Tomlin. Not
Ah.
willing to say Tomlin. But we need to make some flashy moves. We have not used Minka the right way this year at all. If we're not going to use him the right way, he is an all-pro. Let's get some draft capital off of him. Let's get some big players in there. Let's make some splashy plays because we got to load up on offense. Um, Second half, it gave me hope in the third quarter. We scored 2 touchdowns, and then we let the dagger go there, and that was it. Our offense couldn't do anything after that. I mean, bright spot is we didn't let him score in the fourth quarter. I guess that's a bright spot. But just being inept, that first half, if we would have just scored one time, it would have been close, and I would have been like, yeah, okay. But no, it's same story, different year, and I'm depressed and saddened and don't know what to do.
Well, before we go through the season as a whole, finish that up. Man, I just gotta say, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, as far as not even Lamar Jackson throwing the ball, but them just running the ball and controlling the clock and controlling the possession, all that too. I mean, Derrick Henry had 186 rushing yards against that vaunted Steeler defense that was, let's be honest, the reason you won a good majority of those 10 games was how stout the defense was. And it just seems like they just folded right off the snap with that. And hey, this is one of Derrick Henry's best seasons ever. Even with a new team and everything too. But they played like they had something to prove, and it seemed like the Steelers were checked out like almost immediately. It just something just was not clicking at all. Definitely not on offense and like the one shining part of your team being the defense. It seemed like they weren't 100% in it either.
No, we did not make any splash plays, as Tomlin would say. We were not good enough in any phase of the game. We had that brief moment with the punt. It could have been he muffed it. Got excited, but of course, just like the last game, they muffed a kick, and we didn't get it either. So. I don't know. The season, it started out with a lot of hope. I mean, us going 3-0, and then dropping to, then we get Russell back in there. Well, in there for the first time. We're in 4 in a row. Well, 5 in a row counting Justin Fields, but 4 in a row with him. Stupid loss to the Cleveland Browns. Shootout with Cincinnati was nice. It was nice beating Cincinnati there, 44-38. Cleveland, we beat them. We did not get swept, but the last part of the season was unexcusable. I get losing to Cincinnati. I get splitting with a division rival, but there should have been a win between Philadelphia, Baltimore, or Kansas City. We should have really won versus Baltimore. There's so much at stake on that game. We could have took the division. Instead, we got blown out. We got blown out 4 of the 5 games that we played at the end.
I see at least 3 taking away like the last 4 losses of the season, those other 3 losses beforehand too. I was like, Indianapolis, Dallas, and the Cleveland Browns game at Cleveland. I mean, I hate to say that those losses were inexcusable, but those are the ones that it's a similar situation like Cincinnati, where they're like, it's like, man, we were so close to getting to the playoffs, and everything too, and making all these excuses. Well, don't lose at home to the New England Patriots 16-10 and expect to think that the playoffs should just be handed to you at that point too. We talked about this beforehand too. Like the Steelers, this schedule could easily be broken down into 2 segments. there was the first 9 weeks where you got all these very winnable games, and for the most part, you did. I mean, yeah, that heartbreaker to Dallas and to Indianapolis, like those hurt obviously, but yeah, later in the season, I mean, you picked up a good win against Cincinnati, you picked up another win against Cleveland, you picked up the win against Baltimore and Washington even. I mean, let's give Washington credit; they're in the playoffs, so you got those wins going too. And then yeah, just after Cleveland, that just seemed to be when the wheels started to fall off.
Yeah, it
No words, no words, right?
no words. I mean, Dallas game, it was when Dak was still healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was against all their backup defense, but it was with our backup QB in.
There you
Yeah,
go. There you
I'm gonna hold
go.
on to that one. I'm gonna hold on to that. But yeah, no, it's just I think I mean there's always going to be those head scratchers. I mean, of course, you didn't have any this year, but there's those games like, really, we lost that game? How did we lose that game? Or how did we get that close? We should have destroyed them.
Hmm.
I think those two are those games there. But at the end of the season, I mean, you can't lose all your games in December
Hmm.
going into the playoffs. You just don't build any momentum. We should have at least won Cincinnati if we or rested them because the result was the same.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's I mean it's I can think of like, back in 2017 for Kansas City. It's like we're limping into the playoffs. I mean, yeah, we won our division and everything too, but it's just like you don't have that good feeling, going into the playoffs, and then it just seems to manifest on the field, and then if you when you lose, you're pissed off, but just like at the same time, it's like you saw it coming from a mile away. It's like you were just programmed to know you were going to lose. It was not going to end well too. So, I mean, there's a lot of Steeler fans calling this 2020 light. I mean, that's kind of harsh to put in that perspective, but I mean, the fact that like after Tomlin did get his winning season, and then just after those last 4 games, just crawling into just limping into the playoffs, as a fan, that's just gut wrenching easily.
I would say it's more like 15 maybe, like when we barely got in.
Mm.
Years like that because while I'm always hopeful that the Steelers are going to go, there was a lot of unknown. There was the whole narrative that Russell's washed. We got
Mm-hmm.
this guy from the Bears. We know what happened with the last guy we got from the Bears. There was, I mean, a lot of people had us finishing last. And so I didn't really expect, I mean, Super Bowl, but I didn't really expect Super Bowl this year.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought that was going to be reserved for the Bills. No, I don't even want to say the Ravens. Detroit, teams of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's I don't think 2020 was heartbreaking for just another reason. And
Mm.
we started out so good and it felt like Ben's last hurrah, and this was the year he rides off into the sunset. He's like Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
We did not get that.
No, no.
So that I believe that one was the most heartbreaking year.
All right. Well, a lot of questions that need answered this coming off season too. What do you do with Russell Wilson? Do you give him another shot? Do you move on to Justin Fields? What changes will be made? Probably not too many in the coaching position, although a lot of people really want to see that. We'll see how this off season goes for you too, especially come draft time too. So. Alrighty. Well, I think it doesn't. I feel a lot better just talk about it, get it all off your chest like that.
Open fresh wounds there.
Fresh wound. Quit picking at the scab, trying to heal, right? Alrighty. Well, we're gonna pick at something else here too. We're gonna pick at our picks for the USA Today. So as you can see right here, as some of you may remember, at the beginning of the year, the USA Today, as per usual, comes out with their schedule or record predictions. And Trajan and I, of course, once again decided to take on the record, say if we agreed, if we thought the score was going to be higher, thought it was going to be lower. And much like the previous game that we played with the division winners in the wild card, I once again came out on top. Ha ha! Not by a whole lot though. Only 2 points, considering there was a lot that we agreed upon. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I do have to laugh looking at a couple of these too. Like for example, the Vikings. We thought they were gonna finish worse than 5-12, and what do? They end up finishing 12-5. Although they played like a 5-12 team in the playoffs against the Rams, that did not end up well. I mean, geez, look at a few of these too. We thought the Giants were gonna finish higher than 4-13. Ouch. We thought the Cowboys were gonna finish higher than 8-9. Ouch. Seahawks 5-12. I figured that was too low. I didn't think they were going to have as good of a record as they did. We called the Rams though. Got to say, we and USA Today 10-7. We nailed that one. You nailed the Chargers going higher than 9-8. I really thought they were going to suck with Harbaugh. What were they smoking, thinking the Jets were going to go 12-5 this year?
They had them Super Bowl.
They did have the Super Bowl too.
Bowl.
I mean, I should have put the star next to there too, like they did. Like they were going to the Super Bowl. Like, good God. How foolish were we to think the Bills were dead? And
Yes, that storyline was, yeah.
I mean, we were almost hook, line, and sinker on the AFC South, except for the Titans, and then of course going down to the AFC North. You nailed it on the Steelers. I really thought that they were going to finish below 500, but Tomlin way, man, the standard was still the standard, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Well, what would you say is your biggest surprise as far as these records here too? I think probably mine would have to be the Vikings for sure.
I'd have to agree with you. If anyone, well, it's either the Vikings or the Broncos.
Oh, true. Oh, wow. Yeah, Broncos 4-13. They make the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, if we go the opposite direction, 49ers. You know, of course that was kind of out of their control with all the injuries that they had. 13-4 season. I mean, if they were healthy, maybe that could have been the case. And of course, Buffalo. You know, yeah, we should have known. Josh Allen wasn't going to die that easily.
Nope, and I think that kind of secures him as that status of, I would say he's kind of the Peyton Manning to the Tom Brady.
Mm.
You know, the Tom Brady, he got the rings. Peyton Manning had those stats, had those great regular seasons, just couldn't do it in the playoffs. So maybe this is where he gets his ring.
I don't want it to be this year, but I do hope Josh Allen does get his ring eventually. It'd be hilarious if he left the Bills and did it too, so just to add that much more pain to that mountain of sadness that they've had over the years. But we shall see if the Ravens will add a notch to that belt this coming Sunday as they meet in the divisional round at Buffalo. Ravens-Bills. We also have, of course, Rams versus Eagles and Commanders versus Lions. Who'd have thought Commanders making it to the divisional round? Freaking crazy, right? But of course, Saturday afternoon. It's been almost a month since we've seen the starters on the field too. Houston, great job against the LA Chargers. They're going to come back into Arrowhead. Obviously, things did not go their way the last time they came to Arrowhead, both in the regular season and the last time they came to Arrowhead in the playoffs. But can't take C.J. Stroud lightly. This is going to be a heck of a game. Chiefs are getting healthy at the right time, and they're going to need it. They're going to have to be firing on all cylinders. Hopefully, there's no rust there from all the rest that they've had. Andy Reid has done amazing with bye weeks in the past too. Texans, obviously, they've got two defenders there too, with 10+ sacks on the year. They have, I think the Broncos had the most sacks, but I think the Texans were number 2. With most sacks on the year too. So stout defense that's going to be firing on all cylinders against an offense that started to get things right towards the end of the season, I think. And obviously our defense, grateful to have Jalen Watson back in our secondary. Obviously, Trent McDuffie will be the one handling Nico Collins. And, we definitely need to get a pass rush going against C.J. Stroud, because when he's back there and when he's comfortable in the pocket, we saw what he can do against the Chargers defense, who were the number one scoring defense in the NFL. So this is not a bye week. This is not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. Chiefs need to come out firing on all cylinders. I believe they can, and I think they'll be able to take this one too, and hopefully set up for an epic AFC Championship game, whether it be against the Bills or the Ravens. Looking forward to it, but got to play who's in front of you here. So it's on you, boys. Take care of business against the Texans, and then see what goes from there. So, alrighty.
For once, I'm going to say, I wish you the best of luck. I'm not going to say anything against your team.
Really? So now finally, since your team is out, you think you've got clean slate on me now? You're going to say that you think that we got something here, or?
No, got something. Save that till the fourth quarter.
There you go. Alrighty. Well, let us know down in the comments below what was your biggest surprise team that showed up this season, or biggest surprise team that fell short of expectations. We'd love to hear from you down below here too. But on that note, thank you everybody so much for watching. Click like if you enjoyed the video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all of your friends. I am 1 subscriber away from 200 subs, so get me there. I really appreciate you. All right, and as always, we will see you next week to recap the divisional round. This is Temple and Trajan, signing off.